In the quiet town of Ashton Creek, tragedy had a way of circling back to the same door. Amelia Brooks was once full of hope. The day she found out she was pregnant, her world lit up, even though her husband, Daniel, had been diagnosed with a terminal illness just months prior. She prayed, cried, and clung to the belief that love would carry them through. But fate didn't wait. Daniel passed away only 6 days before their son, Malik, was born. From the start, Amelia was both mother and father. With no close family to lean on, she did it all, working odd cleaning jobs by day and sewing garments by candlelight. She never remarried. Her life became a routine of survival and sacrifice. Malik was her everything. Her reason. She raised him with values, hope, and stories of his father's kindness and strength. But by the time Malik turned 13, shadows began to creep into his life. He started skipping school, hanging out late. And soon, his name would be whispered in connection to petty thefts, fights, and worse. Still, Amelia refused to give up on her son. "You're better than this," she would plead, her calloused hands trembling as she held his face. "Your father would have wanted more for you." But the boy she once rocked to sleep was now a teenager filled with rage, pain, and a dangerous hunger for respect. Respect, he believed, could only be earned with fists, fear, and fast money. Malik joined a local gang known as the Rooks, a group infamous for drug peddling, extortion, and armed robbery. They took him in, gave him a sense of family, but turned him into someone his mother barely recognized. By 17, he'd been arrested twice. Amelia used every penny she had to hire lawyers, begging for leniency, blaming the system, the streets, anything but her son. Each time, he promised to change. Each time, she believed him. And each time, he disappointed her. Then came the incident that changed everything. One rainy night, Amelia got a call from the police. Malik had been arrested again, this time for possession of illegal firearms and suspected involvement in a violent home invasion. The victims had survived, but the charges were serious. Real time. Adult prison. But Amelia wouldn't give up. She pawned her wedding ring, her last piece of Daniel. She took up a night shift at a grimy diner on the outskirts of town. She stood in courtrooms, cold and tired, praying her son would see her love and choose differently. On the day she was to finalize paperwork for Malik's bail, Amelia never made it to the courthouse. Driving a borrowed car in a rush, her eyes heavy from 3 nights of no sleep, Amelia's vehicle collided head-on with a delivery truck. Witnesses said she didn't brake. Maybe she fell asleep. Maybe she didn't see it coming. The accident left her in critical condition. She was airlifted to a regional hospital, her legs shattered, ribs broken, and head trauma so severe doctors weren't sure if she'd survive the night. When Malik was informed, he didn't cry. In fact, he didn't say anything at all. His gang associates joked that his mom was just being dramatic again. And Malik laughed. But inside, something began to shift. A week later, Amelia opened her eyes. Paralyzed from the waist down and unable to speak, she had to relearn how to swallow, how to move her hands. Nurses said she often wept without sound, her eyes pleading for someone, anyone, to bring her son. But Malik never visited. Months passed. Amelia was eventually discharged to a rehab center, confined to a wheelchair, her speech reduced to short phrases, slow and strained. Despite her condition, the moment she was able, she requested access to a phone. Her first call was to Malik. He didn't answer. But the second time, he did. There was silence on the line before he muttered, "You shouldn't have tried so hard, Ma." That was the last time they spoke. 2 years went by. Malik was back on the streets, older now, meaner, and feared. He'd risen in the ranks of the Rooks, known for dealing a new kind of synthetic drug that was ravaging neighborhoods. Bodies were turning up. Police raids intensified. And then, one night, he disappeared. Vanished. The gang believed he was dead. Rivals were suspected. Police launched an investigation. But he wasn't dead. He had returned, to her. One stormy evening, the staff at the rehab center clocked out as usual. Amelia's room, tucked in the farthest corner of the building, was quiet. The nurses didn't notice the broken lock on the emergency exit. Or the hooded figure that slipped inside unnoticed. It was well past midnight when a scream tore through the hallway. By the time help arrived, Amelia Brooks was found slumped in her wheelchair, blood trailing from a gash across her temple, and bruises that told a silent story of struggle. But she wasn't dead. Barely alive, she kept whispering one word, Malik. The authorities launched a full-scale manhunt. The motive? Unknown. Was it revenge? Money? Or had Malik finally become so consumed by darkness that even the woman who gave him life meant nothing to him? As detectives dug deeper, they found a handwritten letter in Malik's abandoned apartment, half burnt, half intact. A letter that read, "You always said I was like him, but I ain't like Dad. I'm worse. I know it. And maybe I hate that you still love me, Ma. Maybe I hate that you still hope. You should have let me rot." The attack on Amelia Brooks sent shockwaves through the Ashton Creek community. Though barely clinging to life, the woman who had spent every drop of her soul trying to save her son now lay in a hospital bed, bruised, battered, and in a coma. And the one person everyone suspected was missing. Malik Brooks had vanished. Local news outlets plastered his face across screens, "Son wanted in brutal attack on disabled mother." The police issued a warrant. Tip lines lit up. But Malik? He was like a ghost, gone without a trace. Until 3 weeks later. A surveillance camera at a rundown gas station on the edge of the state line caught a glimpse of him. Alone. Hooded. Gaunt. He paid cash for gas, cigarettes, and food. That was the last anyone saw of him for months. Behind the scenes, investigators pieced together fragments of Malik's life since his disappearance from gang life. It appeared he'd gone underground, but not just to hide. He was unraveling. Journal entries found in an abandoned warehouse told the story of a young man haunted by guilt, rage, and a broken sense of self. His words, scribbled in erratic handwriting, gave glimpses into a tortured mind. She was the only one who ever stayed. And I still hurt her. Every time I close my eyes, I see her crying when I was 8, when I stole candy and said I didn't. She cried harder than when Dad died. I became what she feared the most. While detectives searched for him, Amelia's condition deteriorated. She slipped in and out of consciousness, her body fighting to survive, her mind looping the same haunting phrase, "Where's my boy?" In a cruel twist, the one person she wanted most was the one being hunted as her attacker. But there was something the police didn't yet know. Malik had returned to Ashton Creek again, quietly. Not as the boy who once laughed on his mother's lap, nor the gang member who once ran the streets. This Malik was something darker. Detached. Calculating. His heart hollowed out by a life soaked in blood, betrayal, and a truth he had buried for years. He didn't attack his mother to kill her. He did it to silence her. Because there was a secret. A secret Amelia had kept for 20 years. Malik wasn't Daniel's son. In the weeks before Daniel passed, he discovered Amelia had a brief affair, born from desperation, loneliness, and fear that she would raise a child alone. Daniel knew, and forgave her. But he never told Malik. Amelia made a vow to never let her son know the truth. But Malik had found out. The day before the attack, he received an anonymous letter. In it was a birth certificate with a different name listed as "Father." And one sentence, typed at the bottom. "You were raised on a lie. She protected herself, not you." The betrayal, real or not, was the final fracture in Malik's already splintered soul. Now, filled with venom and nowhere to direct it but at the woman who gave him life, he snapped. And even after the attack, he wasn't done. Malik began contacting others under a fake identity, posing as a concerned family friend, asking about Amelia's status. Nurses noticed someone had called the hospital over 5 times asking for her condition. They traced the number. A burner phone. Registered to no one. Detectives began tracking local pawn shop activity, bank withdrawals, and street surveillance. Then came the most chilling evidence yet. A USB drive mailed anonymously to a local detective's home. On it, grainy security footage from the night of the attack, likely from a nearby building. It showed Malik entering the rehab center through a fire exit. But what struck investigators most wasn't that he attacked his mother. It was what he whispered in her ear before he did. A lip reader was brought in. And after hours of review, the message was clear. I wanted to love you. I really did. But now, I want you to understand what it's like to die slowly. Amelia remains in a coma, unresponsive. Malik is still at large. And somewhere out there, he watches. His face hidden. His name now legend in gang circles. To many, he's a monster. But to her, he's still her child. The child she once cradled. The child she gave everything for. The child who might one day return, not to ask for forgiveness, but to finish what he started. 3 weeks after the attack, Amelia Brooks quietly passed away in her hospital bed. No cameras. No reporters. Just the beeping machines and a nurse who held her hand as the flatline rang through the sterile silence. The woman who gave everything, love, time, faith, even her body, was gone. Not with dignity. Not with peace. But with questions no one would ever truly answer. Her funeral was sparsely attended. A few nurses. A social worker. A priest who never met her. No flowers. No family. And Malik? He never showed. But 2 days after her burial, the head nurse found something tucked beneath Amelia's pillow, a torn photograph. Faded. Creased. It showed Amelia holding a toddler with a wide smile, her eyes full of life and love. On the back, a single sentence written in shaky handwriting. I never stopped praying for you. As for Malik, he was never found. Some say he fled the country. Others believe the gang took him out for drawing too much attention. But there are whispers in Ashton Creek, stories of a man with hollow eyes who watches from shadows, leaving nothing but silence and regret in his wake. In the end, Amelia Brooks didn't die at the hands of a criminal. She died at the hands of the one person she loved most. Her only child.